The primary thing it tests is the candidate's ability to communicate. The candidate's ability to communicate. Communication ability is the primary thing that you should be concerned with when testing or marking imaginative compositions. The best candidates score 20 out of 20 in this question. 20 out of 20. The marking scheme has allowed us to give the full range of marks. But then, it's a very small percentage in this country that gets there. And I've had a few complaints from colleagues about the setting and the marking, especially of English paper 3. From my analysis, from my experience, I can attest that the philosophy of the testing and the marking does not change. Same. Once you understand what is supposed to be done, then it is possible that more of our students can score the 20 out of 20. Let us look at the challenge. The challenge, the problem that denies our students that 20 out of 20. The first one, sentence construction errors. Errors of sentence construction. That students cannot construct sentences that communicate clearly. Students struggle with sentence construction. That is the first challenge that we see that is denying students the maximum marks. Number two, lack of originality. Lack of originality. Many of our students are not creative enough to create original compositions. Yet, one of the things you are looking for as a teacher is an original composition, new composition, fresh ideas, different from what you've seen before. And number three, many grammatical errors. Just errors of grammar. Of course, they affect communication. Many grammatical errors, and these errors affect communication. I know some of you mark English paper 3 as examiners, and all of us mark compositions at school. And many compositions do not meet the standard that is required. But the marking scheme, if you look at it, it's friendly to the student. What is the problem there? The biggest problem is inadequate practice. Our students do not practice enough. Many times, by the time they do KCSE,
sorry, ladies and gentlemen, for interrupting Mr. Weketi. I would like to request the owners of those two vehicles to kindly help us because the students are using that place. Maybe you can move them somewhere. Another announcement I would like to make is I forgot to direct you to gents and ladies. We have that ablution block right opposite our dining hall, the second one. So just in case we need to use it, the first part of it is the ladies, and the second part of it is the gents. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So, most of our students would write only, say, maybe 2 compositions by the time they are doing KCSE. The first one, Form 1, I don't know if you've already given this one out. My first day in high school, that is the first composition that most of the students will write. From there, we rarely test composition writing. And sometimes we give them some item on drama, some item on oral skills, but composition writing we rarely do. So most of the students will only write one composition at the beginning, and then maybe one or two in Form 3 or Form 4, and then the last one. The last one during KCSE. So that is inadequate practice. So this lack of practice is what is killing us in composition writing. How do we go about making the students to write more? I think that one will depend on our own creativity. But I would say that you can easily get a student to practice a lot by asking them to write, say, a paragraph. That they don't have to necessarily write the whole 450 words. A paragraph is enough practice for sentence construction. A paragraph is enough practice to get out the errors that you're talking about. A paragraph is enough practice for them to, build their creativity. Because when I'm marking, I will just look at the first paragraph and I will know where to place the student. I usually ask mine to do weekly composition practice. One composition every week, and that is building the habit of composition writing. 1 or 2 compositions is sufficient. One paragraph is not too hard to mark. Even if you decide to go with a big tick, then you look at a few samples and you mark them easily. Then you can use them in class to help them improve. The test in composition writing is very easy. Just ask the students to give you what we call clear communication. Clear communication in any of the writing. Number 2, ask the students to give you originality. Number 3, ask them to ensure that anytime they are writing, because the purpose of writing, you must have a purpose. It's not writing for the sake of writing. They must have a lesson. Now, a composition that scores anything beyond 17 usually must have a clear moral or a clear lesson. Sometimes, now when we talk about communication, which is the most important thing, we want to break down the degree or the levels of communication. Some students write compositions that do not communicate at all. We should train them to write better compositions. But very few of them fall in. So anytime you are tempted to award 0.5 and below in a composition, I think it is prudent to think twice, because most likely you have undermarked that student. Anytime a student scores 0.5, that one has to go to a second eye. Somebody else to look at it and ascertain that indeed they have that. So we always try to, give them benefit of doubt in whatever they write. So the marking scheme is very friendly. So this one is a composition that does not communicate. So anything to do with marking is about communication. And you'll find that some students will fall in this category, 1 to 2 marks. That means the composition is simply chaotic. No communication, but it's chaotic. The language is chaotic. Probably they're even using a different language other than English. Yet the instructions say that you must communicate in English. If a student falls here, this is a composition that has many gross errors, continuous errors. And it is good to know, because nowadays when we mark, we put a comment. 3 marks. Why did you say 3 marks?